Now from the UTV News Centre, here's Monday's regional news and sport on UTV Live.
Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6 with Paul Clark and Rose Neill.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
The heartbroken daughter of parents killed by a paranoid schizophrenic speaks out for the first time about finding their bodies.
It's not the images I want to see. There was blood everywhere.
The DUP leadership team meets Theresa May at Downing Street to ask the PM to start making decisions for Northern Ireland.
And Spelga Dam runs low as the hosepipe ban remains in place.
Rory McIlroy and other golfers have arrived here in Ballyliffin. I'll have all the build-up to a big week here in Donegal.
And is there any sign of a change in the weather? Some experts are saying there may be no prolonged rain during July at all. I'll have the forecast for you later in the programme.
They were brutal killings which shocked a quiet community. Pensioners Michael and Marjorie Caudry were stabbed to death in their own home. The man responsible was a paranoid schizophrenic with a history in our mental health system. Tonight, the Caudry's daughter speaks for the first time about the horror of finding her parents' bodies.
Our correspondent Sharon O'Neill has been investigating, and tonight we reveal the exact timeline of events. As her exclusive report shows, the killer, Thomas McEntee, was in hospital 4 times in the final days before the shocking tragedy, raising even more questions about our mental health system.
Both were lying half in and half out of doorways, both face down, both wrapped up in rugs.
No one should have to see what they saw, the bloodied bodies of those they loved the most. This the first time they have spoken about what they faced that day.
It's not the images I want to see. There was blood everywhere. I'm sorry.
What have you lost, Wendy?
Most been caring parents in the world. We're always there.
All of that caused by this man, Thomas McEntee, a paranoid schizophrenic who must now serve a minimum of 10 years behind bars for the brutal killing of Marjorie and Michael Caudry. Both 83, they were totally inseparable. Just days after a judge handed down a life sentence rather than a hospital order, their family's anger is only building.
I know the judge went through the process, and given the mental health issues, that seemed appropriate. But no, not for 2 people. That's not right.
Because of the court case, we now know more about events leading up to McEntee's frenzied attack on Marjorie and Michael at their home in Upper Ramone Park, Portadown, in May last year. Their family believe his bizarre behaviour should have set alarm bells ringing before he walked out of Craigavon Area Hospital and went on to kill just yards away. The Southern Trust insists it was impossible to predict what happened, but admits opportunities were missed. We have uncovered disturbing information, raising even more questions. For the first time, we can reveal the chronology of a police log, spelling out in black and white what McEntee did in the run-up and on that day. It highlights just how disturbed he was and that he was a menace to others. Not only that, we can reveal that he was in hospital on 4 separate occasions before he carried out his brutal assault on a defenceless couple. Monday, May the 22nd, 4 days before the killings, McEntee's sister calls police telling them her brother was suffering from mental health issues. Police take him to the Mater Hospital in Belfast. He's assessed by the mental health team. Later, police take him to the train station to make his way home. May the 24th, McEntee is at Daisy Hill Hospital in Newry, waiting to be seen. Around 2 hours later, he left. We understand he came back later that night. According to the police log, he stayed at a hotel following a call from the hospital. May the 25th, McEntee is spotted at reception. We know that day he went to Newry and Warren Point. May the 26th, the day Marjorie and Michael Caudry were stabbed to death. Early morning, McEntee turned up at his sister's house in Bessbrook, injured, then left. Police receive a report he's on the Millvale Road, wearing no clothes. A report comes in from the mental health team at Daisy Hill Hospital that a naked man is shouting outside. Police restrain McEntee and he's assessed. It's decided he should be transferred to Craigavon Area Hospital. There, a nurse tries to take his bloods, but he becomes volatile and walks out in the direction of Bluestone Mental Health Unit. He didn't go there. Instead, he went to an off-licence and stole a bottle of wine. McEntee then goes to Upper Ramone Park. He first breaks into a car, then into the home of Marjorie and Michael Caudry. Police get a call that McEntee had left the hospital. Remember, at that stage he was already in their house. When Marjorie and Michael returned from shopping, they didn't stand a chance.
We have paid with the loss of 2 wonderful people in the most brutal and horrific manner. And McEntee himself has lost his freedom. And none of that should have happened.
I know it was handled badly. This man was in mental health crisis. He was doing the right thing, yes, but that doesn't mean to say that he should be ignored. He knew himself that he wasn't well.
This is how their loved ones want Marjorie and Michael to be remembered. 2 people who devoted their lives to each other, their children and their grandchildren. 2 people who should still be here in their lives, making and sharing new memories. Instead, they had been stolen from them in the most brutal way possible.
Sharon is with me. How has the Southern Trust responded this evening?
Well, first of all, the family firmly believe had the chain of events been broken, things could have turned out very differently. They have a lot of questions and they want to know why the dots weren't joined. We've received a statement from the Southern Trust, so let's go back 2 days before the killings, Paul, that Wednesday. We know McEntee was at Daisy Hill Hospital twice. We asked the Southern Trust why was he not admitted. The response, they had no authority to admit. Now we know he was put up in a hotel that night. We asked why was he not checked up on the next day? Why was there no assessment? Their response, they tried to contact him by phone, but there was no answer. Fast forward 2 days to the day of the killings. Now we know that a nurse tried to get his bloods at Craigavon. He was volatile. He walked out before a full assessment. They could get a full assessment. We asked why was there a lapse in time between noon when he walked out of the hospital and 12:40. They said there's a protocol in place. The premises had to be thoroughly checked first before they alerted the authorities. Now, the Trust say they will work with the Caudry family to make sure any lessons will be learned.
And McEntee was known to the police.
He was. He had 39 previous convictions, 1 for assault on police. Now, after the tragedy, the PSNI referred themselves to the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman carried out a review of police actions and found that they acted appropriately. So as far as the family is concerned, Paul, the mental health system failed killer Thomas McEntee and in turn failed them.
Sharon, thank you.
Northern Ireland is crying out for government decision-making. That's the message which the DUP leadership brought to the Prime Minister today. The DUP says that while it's waiting for details on the government's new customs plan, the party is confident that Theresa May will not treat Northern Ireland differently from the rest of the United Kingdom. Our reporter Judith Hill is in Westminster. Judith, what was on the agenda today?
Well, Rose, Theresa May here at Westminster has many matters on her mind. She faces a crunch meeting with her own cabinet to thrash out and try and agree a government position on Brexit by the end of the week. And all the while, the behind-the-scenes jostling for her own position continues. But this afternoon here at Westminster, the focus was on Northern Ireland. The DUP leadership team met with Theresa May at Downing Street. The Secretary of State was there too. Now, the meeting lasted over an hour, and right top of the DUP agenda was the issue of governance in Northern Ireland. They're looking for the Prime Minister to get more involved in decision making, and this follows a statement from Number 10 last week in which they committed to taking more steps to ensure good governance in Northern Ireland. And Arlene Foster and Nigel Dodds here today really driving home that message that they want to see that now happen. Arlene Foster has said that people in Northern Ireland are crying out for decision making, and she said that Theresa May is now considering her next option.
And Judith, what did they have to say about the latest government position on Brexit?
Well, there's much intrigue here at Westminster today about this new government plan on customs. No real detail on it yet, but it's a nervy situation for the Prime Minister because she needs to get an agreed government position at the end of the week. And so the DUP at that press conference after the meeting this afternoon were asked if the Prime Minister could rely on their support.
We don't give blank cheques to anybody, and I think it's very clear that we don't. On Brexit, we want to see a proper Brexit which fulfills the referendum result. But we've been very clear that it has to be on the basis of the whole of the United Kingdom leaving the European Union as one. There will be certain areas like the single electricity market and so on where there will be differences, but on the fundamental issues, it's the United Kingdom as one.
So the DUP were asked if they had any detail on that plan. They didn't, but they were insistent that the Prime Minister is on the same page when it comes to the withdrawal of the UK from the EU. Now, in the last hour, the Prime Minister has confirmed she will publish this white paper next week, which is the agreed government position on Brexit, and that it will include details on the border. But tonight, after an afternoon of lobbying here at Downing Street, the Prime Minister is in no doubt that she needs to continue to court the favour of the DUP as she walks this Brexit tightrope.
Judith Hill, thank you.
After a heatwave across Northern Ireland, the hosepipe ban remains in place, with the public being asked to be water wise.
Our reporter Jordan Moats has spent the day at Spelga Dam in the Mourne Mountains.
Well, good evening from the middle of the Mourne Mountains. Just take a look at this view behind me here at Spelga Dam. What a day it has been here with temperatures in their mid-20s all day. And of course, those record figures mean there's been an increased demand for water. And the levels here at Spelga are quite low. The rocks are exposed running right along the edge of the reservoir. Usually they are submerged underwater. And to put that into perspective, you can see a little bridge here on an old road. Usually this road is not used by people because it's under a few meters of water. Of course, all this means there is a hosepipe ban in place. And just to give you a little bit of info as to why that is the case, Northern Ireland Water says around 700 million litres of water is being pumped into the system. That's 25% more than usual. Now, despite the low levels here today at Spelga, Northern Ireland Water says there is plenty of untreated water in the system, but the problem is customers are using water so fast they can't get it treated quick enough. Now, the advice is to be water wise, especially around key times: in the morning between 7 and 9, and in the evening between 5 and 8. So have a shower instead of a bath, and maybe try turning the tap off whenever you're brushing your teeth and having a shave. Now, Northern Ireland Water does say it's trying its best to ease pressures right across Northern Ireland.
So our water treatment operators are working round the clock. Our plants now are manned on a 24-hour basis, so that if anything happens, we're able to respond immediately and to keep those plants up and running. We have network technicians in the distribution network who are working to make sure that any burst is found and fixed, and also to make sure that we can move water right across from different parts of our network.
Well, this hosepipe ban only applies to domestic customers, and for the avoidance of doubt, that means whenever you're in your own home. Now, it may sound trivial, but whatever you can do at home will help with this pressure.
Jordan Modes there. Now, appeals have been made for calm after a spate of petrol bomb and paint bomb attacks in Londonderry. The attacks along the Peace Line have been continuing since petrol bombs were thrown into the Protestant enclave of the Fountain.
Billy Caldwell is likely to return home to Castlederg this week after being treated in hospital in London. The news comes as the Belfast Trust has confirmed that it's in the process of writing an application for submission to the expert panel established by the government for consideration of a UK licence for the use of medicinal cannabis.
A man who gave his friend a lethal injection of heroin has been given a 4-year sentence. Stephen Millington, who was 50, died in his Dublin Road flat in Newry in January. Newry Crown Court, sitting in Belfast, heard Mr Millington gave his friend Mantas Chepas £40 to buy the drug. Chepas, who is 33 and was living at Cowan Street in Newry at the time of the death, admitted both supplying the drug and manslaughter. He will spend 2 years in prison and 2 years on licence.
A 21-year-old man has appeared in court in Belfast, charged with the murder of a father of one in the north of the city.
The victim was fatally injured in an incident last Thursday night. Barbara McCann reports.
The victim was 30-year-old Robert Edward Joseph Malloy Jones, a father of one. He was originally from Lurgan, but had been living close to the Parkmount Street area here, where he was found lying injured last Thursday night. Paramedics treated him at the scene, but Mr Jones died later in hospital.
In the dock, charged in connection with the death, was 21-year-old Jordan Snoddy from Doonbeg Drive in Newton Abbey. He was accused of murdering Mr Jones and having an offensive weapon, namely a wooden chair leg. He nodded to the court when asked if he understood the charges against him. During questioning from a defence solicitor, a detective sergeant involved in the murder investigation confirmed that the defendant had denied any weapon was used.
No bail application was made and the accused was remanded in custody to appear in court again via video link at the end of this month. Barbara McCann, UTV Live, Lackenside Magistrates Court.
Well, still to come on tonight's programme. We're on course in Ballyliffin ahead of the Irish Open.
Michael Conlon enjoys a winning homecoming in Belfast.
And we give you a tour of our new home here at City Quays. So for all of that, do stay with us.
What would it take to create a new beer with the true essence of Northern Ireland? All great things, but you can't drink them. Besides, Harp had it right all along.
Sure, we could have told you that from the start.
Harp, pure here.
Birthdays begin with a bit of bubbly, Bianca. The big 3-0 deserves the big J2O. J2O Spritz. Find your mojo.
Enjoy fun-filled getaways with Stena Line. Kids go free all year long when the grown-ups take the car. And with kids' play areas, free movies and free Wi-Fi, there's fun for all. Why not surprise them and enjoy the thrills and spills at M&D's theme park from only £29 each? And for shopping days out, treat yourself to a day trip to Scotland from an amazing £12 per person. Don't miss out. Book today at stenaline.co.uk.
Hello once again. You're watching UTV Live at 6 and it's time now for sport. Here's Simon.
The atmosphere is electric. John Mulholland HYUNDAI, proud sponsors of UTV Sport.
Hello there, preparations are well underway for golf's Irish Open as tens of thousands of fans descend on the village of Ballyliffin. Our sports correspondent Ruth Gorman has this report from County Donegal.
Famous for its breathtaking beauty, County Donegal is a popular holiday destination, especially in weather like this. But the next week will be no vacation for some of the world's best golfers as they battle it out around Ballyliffin. It's the first time Donegal will host the Irish Open in its 80-year history. Organisers say it's their time to shine on the world stage.
Yeah, it's more than a golf tournament for this community. This is probably, you know, the equivalent of the World Cup coming to Donegal, going into a worldwide audience of 500 million people. It's an opportunity that Donegal has yet to witness. We've been building this for quite a number of years. You know, gradually improving the facilities, the clubhouse, the courses. Obviously, the whole community has seized upon that and are really, you know, relishing the opportunity to showcase the area in the best possible light.
And the local villagers are also ready for the biggest week of their year.
This is our one and only chance. It's not often you get an opportunity like this to showcase our beautiful village here, so we're looking forward to that.
Rory McIlroy and his foundation are into their fourth and final year of hosting the Irish Open. Despite recent disappointments on the course, he'll be one of the favourites this week.
You know, the world of competitive golf is much smaller now. It was a small world in the 40s and 50s when my dad played because not many people played. Now the world is a tiny place and the quality of world golf is amazing. So Rory's competing against a super quality field in every event he plays in. Rory is the stellar guy, and I think on his day, no one's going to beat Rory.
McIlroy would prove a popular winner, but will have his work cut out on this pure links course. It may look pretty, but don't be deceived. Ballyliffin is packed with 90 bunkers, and a stiff Atlantic breeze is never too far away. It's only Monday, but McIlroy is drawing in the crowds already. Plenty of locals here watching him practice on the range this afternoon. Over 80,000 people are expected to descend on Ballyliffin over the next few days. It's going to be a special week here in Donegal. Ruth Gorman, UTV Live, Ballyliffin Golf Club.
And we'll have more build-up from Donegal all week on UTV. Now, boxing next, and it looks like this man, Michael Conlon, will be out of action until the end of the year as he prepares to become a father for the second time. The Belfast boxer made a successful homecoming on Saturday and described the night as unforgettable. For a man who has graced the biggest stage in boxing at Madison Square Garden, this entrance was special by any standards. Conlon, 7 years since last fighting in Belfast, was finally back home.
Someone like Mick Conlon can make you miss all day long.
His performance another step in the right direction. Becoming a world champion before the end of next year is still the ultimate goal.
There's a lot of things need to be worked on for me to be a world champion in that time space, and you know, I'll go back to the gym and I'll work really hard to get there, and I know I will get there, but you know, I'm not going to say I'll be there right away, but you know, I think 18 months is a good shape for me, and you know, I'll have a lot to work on, but I will do it.
We tick boxes tonight. This is the game of learning, getting better. Next time there'll be different obstacles in the way, and this is kind of how you make a world champion.
You have to develop, and it's things like that that will give you the little steps of development. You don't just jump from being a 7-fight novice, having had easy fights, to being a world champion. There are gaps to fill, and last night is that type of night where you do fill those gaps.
And the draw for the fourth round of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship was made this morning. The four Ulster sides have all avoided each other. So Tyrone take on Cork, Fermanagh will face Kildare, Laois play Monaghan, and it's Armagh up against Roscommon. All of those games are set to take place this weekend, with the winners progressing to the Super 8 stage. That's all your sport tonight. Bye for now.
It's a game of two halves. John Mulholland Ford, proud sponsors of UTV Sport.
Well, the sun continued to shine over the weekend, but Frank, the farmers will be glad to hear that there's a chance of rain on Thursday.
Rose, there is a chance of rain. There's a 30 to 40% chance of a passing shower on Thursday. It will be a bit grey, almost gloomy on Thursday for a while, but the good weather is not ending. The school children and the holiday makers don't want to hear us say we need rain. We do need it. There's a hose pipe ban, the ground is parched, but it is not going to change this week. The good weather is set to continue. Let's have a look at these details now.
Oh, it looks cold where your auntie lives.
Yes, but the welcome will be warm.
P&O Ferries sponsors UTV weather.
Yes, perfect summer weather, absolutely glorious. Of course, you may be looking for rain and there isn't any of any significance coming. It's going to be mainly dry, it'll tend to be bright as well and breezy, and that has to be a plus. Now, going through into tomorrow, the high pressure continues to be in charge of our weather. It's been bobbing about in this part of the world for quite a while. It'll keep those weather fronts off to the west and northwest. So fine weather towards tomorrow. Going into this evening and through tonight, very settled, but that nice breeze that does away with the clammy air. So first thing tomorrow morning, temperatures could be anywhere from 11 to 15 degrees. That's the ideal start to a summer's day. And then as tomorrow goes by, it's very similar to what we had today. Wall-to-wall sunshine, a little warmer on the north coast. It was actually just 18-19 on the north coast today, up into the 20s. And as for the rest of Ireland, it's looking good as well. Perfect weather for the school holidays. Maybe just a little cooler on the east coast with that onshore breeze. But the outlook, it's absolutely ideal. Wednesday is bright and sunny. Thursday, there's the threat of some rain that we talked about earlier. A slight possibility. The cloud will certainly be to the fore. It's not going to be a sunny day on Thursday, but it's back to the bright weather on Friday with just a little hint of a shower being possible. We'll check the pollen for you next.
It looks cold where your auntie lives.
Yes, but the welcome will be warm.
P&O Ferries sponsors UTV weather.
Live vividly this summer with the UTV pollen count, sponsored by Pyrenees Hay Fever Relief Nasal Spray.
And there's always a price to pay with this good weather. The pollen continues to have a very high reading. You're up to date. From me, Frank Mitchell. Take care, be good. Bye-bye.
Now, you will have noticed that Rose and I are in new surroundings tonight. After months of preparations, UTV's move from Havelock House to City Quays is complete.
Yes, and our colleague Sarah Clark is going to take you on a behind-the-scenes tour of our new home.
After months in the making, in fact almost a year, UTV's new home is complete. Welcome to the top floor of City Quays 2 in the heart of Belfast. Let's take a look around. This is reception, a nod to our rich heritage on the walls, our comfy sofas, the main meeting room where the journalists will decide the news for the day ahead. And we're moving now into our newsroom where our on-screen journalists, our production journalists, all the team are busy working away. Say hi everyone, you're on camera. Then you're used to that. In the business, we call this traffic. To you at home, it's central to how we bring the news to you. Whether it's reports from journalists, lives from locations, feeds from London, Dublin or Northwest studio further afield, it all has to go through here. We're through to the gallery now. We've got Marty on gallery ops, we've got Ryan who's directing, we've Nikki, Kira and Kiva, some of our amazing production specialists to ensure that we get on and off air smoothly. This is one of the most state-of-the-art news facilities in all of Europe, and what a view we have.
It really is an amazing sight, and I'm trying to get used to the idea that I'm actually here to work, because I spend so much time looking out the window and just seeing the beautiful mouth of Belfast Lough. But I will get used to it, and I'll get used to the idea that there's still work to be done. That's the first ever UTV Live at 6 from our new home here in the heart of Belfast Harbour. Wherever you're watching this evening, we do hope that you've enjoyed the programme.
ITV News continues with Mary Nightingale in London. From all of us here at UTV, have a very good evening.
Good evening.